All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA Finals video. And sadly, this is the last NBA Finals video for this season. I'm going to spoil it. The next one, if you don't know, now you know. I did a little reaction video right after they won, literally as they were like hoisting up the trophy. I talked a little bit, gave my reactions and stuff, but this video is going to be a full breakdown of the game, a full recap and reaction of the game like we've been doing for, what, a couple months now? Yeah. This will be the last one. The next one will be like an NBA season wrap up as we head into the off season. So if you like what I've say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. And if you wanna stay tuned for NBA offseason stuff, a wrap up of this season, and WNBA content going into the future, please subscribe. I know you guys will like it. The views are up right now. Subscribers are going up slowly but surely. So I'd really appreciate anybody who's listening to this to subscribe and at least give me a try. Give me a chance. I can. It's always getting better. But yeah, let's wrap up this NBA season, man. At least the games that are going to be played, because there's no more games. This is it. This was it. The Knicks did it in 5. The Spurs, what else is there to say? Sort of gave this one away. Like they gave every game away essentially. I read a stat that the Spurs led for 79% of every game in this series and only won one game, which is insane. I'm not sure if that stat was true or was just made up, but it sounds legit, because like in every other game except the one game they won, they lost in the second half. With that being said, let's get into the first half here. My first note of this game when I was watching it, when they were doing the intros for the Spurs players, it was not very loud in the Frostbank Arena. It really wasn't. And as the game went on, there were a lot more fans rooting for the Knicks. The Knicks fans were quite a bit louder than the Spurs fans, even though the Spurs did get a really good lead in the first half. It was rough defense for both teams, as in like tough. Like there was like a lot of grabbing, a lot of holding, a lot of pushing, shoving. Karl-Anthony Towns got in a little bit of foul trouble early, and that gave the Spurs a little bit of a cushion to build a lead. At some points, they led by 10, 12, 13, I think almost 15 at some points as well. And I have in my notes here that Spurs staying ahead, I'm not impressed. Gotta win the second half, no matter what. I was not impressed at this juncture, being down 3-1 like they were. I wasn't impressed with them winning the first half of any game. They could have won the next. They could have attempted to win the next. What would that have been? 3, and I would still be in Game 7 saying I'm not impressed by them leading in the first half. I just wasn't, and it became very true in this game. Obviously, that the first half didn't matter. The first half didn't matter to this Knicks team in the grand scheme of things, because when they came back in Game 4 from that historical deficit, I knew they had the Spurs number. It was just a matter of maybe the Spurs could be more comfortable at home. If there was going to be a Game 7, it would be in San Antonio, and maybe some things would break the right way finally for the Spurs. That did not happen at all. It was a rough game for both teams. Knicks got a break at some point. I believe it was the first or second. They got some technical free throws because the Spurs got a flagrant foul or a technical. I forget which one it was. Around the 119 mark. I was not sure. I think that's in the second quarter. Yeah, it's in the second quarter. And then as we end the first half here, because I want to get through this first half very quickly, and then we'll dive a little more deep in the second half, because that's where the real meat and potatoes are. This name's gonna pop up a lot, but it's De'Aaron Fox, man. My only note for De'Aaron Fox in this first half is Fox not helping himself to get his respect back this game, this half. It became this game. I knew it was going to be this game. There wasn't any way De'Aaron Fox like flipped it around in the second half. I wrote this note in the first half, but I knew like it just wasn't going to get any better, and it didn't. Moving into the third, Karl-Anthony Towns gets his fourth foul very quickly. He has to go sit on the bench. And the Knicks, the past two games, because of this foul trouble and because of like um, some of the things going on in this game, they've had to run really deep. Um, they in this game, well, in this game, Mitchell Robinson played, obviously. Ariel Hawk-Porte played. Jordan Clarkson played. Jose Alvarado played. Miles McBride played. Landry Shamet played, even though he got a little bit injured in this game. I believe that was this game, right? Yeah. Not injured. He got a little hobbled, I should say. He got a little banged up. But the Knicks ran pretty deep, and it worked out for him. And there's going to be a situation later where we talk about Carl where him being in foul trouble actually helped this team. Um, Getting more into my notes here, Mitchell Robinson um, got a flagrant call on him for pushing Vic, and then Vic proceeded to, I think, miss one of the free throws. And the free throws in this game also for both teams, not just the Spurs, but both teams. Man, they when the pressure really came down to it, they really couldn't hit free throws. And overall, it wasn't a great night for the New York Knicks centers. Karl-Anthony Towns had 2 points in a closeout game. Nobody's going to remember that because they won. He had 10 rebounds, though. Mitchell Robinson had 2 points as well. It was just not a great night. Ariel Hawk-Porte tried. He had 0 points. It just wasn't a great night, but guess what? It doesn't matter because the Knicks won. Um, and the Spurs lost. Um, as these Knicks centers started to get into foul trouble, the Knicks went small ball. I think this is only like maybe the second or third time they actually really like proactively went small ball, trying to gain some momentum, trying to catch the Spurs off balance. And the other two times were in other series. They weren't even in this series, this final series. Um, and they ran a very interesting lineup that got them, I think, 2 buckets, and then Mitch Johnson of the Spurs called a timeout, and then enough time to elapse so the Knicks could actually get a real center back in. But the small ball was interesting for a little bit of a time, and thinking back on it now, and obviously thinking forward a little bit, it'd be interesting to see if they do that more um, in the future, next season, obviously. Moving on to the Spurs, because there's been a lot of Knicks talk here. Um, Dylan Harper, man. Dylan Harper held it down, not just in this game, but in this series. Um, I was talking to somebody on another platform, or I had said this in a comment somewhere on another platform. Nobody could have expected Victor Wembanyama's second best player, like his right hand man, in this series to be rookie Dylan Harper. Nobody expected that. Um, Stefan Castle, looking back, didn't have a great series. Julian Champagny had, what was that, the game that they won? That was a good game for him, I think, or maybe it was game one. Devin Vassell was okay. Keldon Johnson stunk it up. Um, Luke Cornett was serviceable at times, and then Carter Bryant was just, he's a rookie too, so you're not going to get 2 for 2 good rookie performances. You got Dylan Harper's, but Dylan Harper had a really great game this game, and at times the Spurs did try to go back to what felt right, which was the 3 guard lineup, which was the Aaron Fox, Stefan Castle, and Dylan Harper, and it felt okay enough, but the Knicks just made everybody on the Spurs feel like an idiot. Like every turnover, every loose ball, every non-rebound the Spurs didn't get, um, just the Knicks made them look stupid at times, and you couldn't just have the 3 guards out there. You couldn't. It was really tough um, for the Spurs to get those guys out there. And the other thing that really annoyed me during this game, um, on rebounds and on passes, and we talked about this after the OG tip-in layup that happened in the historical comeback last game. These Spurs guys, I'll call them kids. These Spurs kids, they're just waiting for the ball to come to them. I never saw like one player come to the ball, like when they were throwing it ahead, when they would get trying to get a rebound. It felt like the Spurs were just they thought the ball would come to them, and the Knicks would just let the ball come to them. And sometimes Knicks players would just jump out on a pass. Like Jalen Brunson even jumped out on a pass, and the Spurs just felt like discombobulated at times because they really couldn't find that momentum because they weren't going to the ball. They were letting the ball come to them. And in these close games, you need to make the passes shorter. You need to be on the money, like hand-eye coordination, like catch the ball, dribble it. If you're gonna fall out of bounds, throw it off somebody. Like the little things that these Spurs players really just didn't do, and the Knicks really honed in on that and took advantage of that. And there was a moment when I wrote this note that I think it was Victor Wembanyama got a rebound and everybody else was already running the break, and Vic threw like a what do you call it, what's the name for the pass? I forget the name of the pass, but like an outlet pass. Do an outlet pass to Harper, and I want to say Harper was looking away, but Harper like noticed the pass and was like he was just waiting there, almost at the mid court line, and Jalen Brunson just sprints in and takes the ball, and the Spurs turn it over, and that wasn't anybody's fault, you know. But that's like what a closeout game situation is like. This isn't a game in November, December, you know, where they're just gonna let that go. Knicks are like pressing; they're full court, they're like half court press almost, and the Spurs really didn't get used to that at all in this series. It kind of felt like they just, I don't know, it just felt weird. De'Aaron Fox, I have another De'Aaron Fox note here. I said this in my video when I initially reacted to this Knicks win. Um, De'Aaron Fox, man, I've been such a big defender. I've been such a big fan of De'Aaron Fox since he came out of Kentucky many years ago now. Um, De'Aaron pissed the bed. He really did. This was an awful series. I understand it's your first finals, but you can't play this bad, man. You just can't. It's it does so much. It doesn't buy you any favor with the fans. It doesn't buy you any favor with NBA fans as a whole, and it makes you look like it makes you look bad because like you got a guy in Dylan Harper who you took a lot of his minutes. You played 37 minutes and Dylan Harper only played 31. If you switch that and Dylan Harper's in this game instead of De'Aaron Fox for majority of this, is it different? I think it is. I think De'Aaron was that bad at times. De'Aaron only had one turnover this game, which is a lot less than what we've been seeing in this game, but he was just so ineffective. He was just out there. And like every time he was out there, I never felt like he was out there. I just never did. Until the end of the game when he just started chucking up shots, which we'll talk about in a second. But um, De'Aaron Fox's trade value has tanked. The Spurs are probably going to need to attach a draft pick to get rid of this guy. And he just had an all-time. I can't remember the last time a because De'Aaron's not a rookie. He's not like a young player. He's like been in the league a long time. I can't remember the last time an NBA. This is like maybe not finals performance, but this is like Klay Thompson last year's on the Warriors kind of bad. Like missing shots you should make, making dumb passes, not paying attention. Like th- this is like all time up there with like not that De'Aaron Fox looks washed, but he's obviously not the same De'Aaron Fox he was a couple years ago. Um, all the work that he put in over the years for his mid-range shot and his three-point shot just fell off in this series, and every game it felt like it got progressively worse, and it it got to a point where it you could I could feel the conflict of like Coach Mitch Johnson almost pressuring himself to put De'Aaron Fox out there and trust him because like he did the same thing with Julian Champagnie in that um, OKC series where Julian Champagnie was playing horribly and they had one good game when it was the closeout game and they won, and they go to the finals. I feel like Coach Mitch Johnson was trying to do the same thing with De'Aaron Fox, just trust him and just keep trusting him, just keep putting him out there and hopefully maybe he'll get something going. And it never came to fruition. It never happened, and especially in this game, especially and at the end, it was all time. Like if you have De'Aaron Fox like stock, like like hypothetically, like you're a fan of De'Aaron Fox, sell it. I think this is an all time. Just there's no recovering from this, and I'm gonna be overreactionary here because this is the last video of this year of this games played year. Um, De'Aaron Fox is never gonna be back to the finals. He is never gonna be back to the finals. Not because not only because he's not gonna be on this team next year, but we just saw what you did. everybody was watching the finals because it was such an entertaining finals. But everybody was watching and they saw what you did, and they're like, that guy, that guy's gonna be the lead guard on a championship team. Hell no, hell no. Get ready to be Andre Iguodala somewhere. That's all I'll say. Um, as we get through my notes here, I have a note that says the Knicks are lurking. The Spurs have to be careful. This is when the Spurs had a little bit of a lead, and we started to fall back into those old habits that we've seen from the Spurs, where they gave up some passes, they gave up some threes. They couldn't stop this player, they couldn't stop that player, and the Knicks were lurking. They were really there still. And then as we get into the fourth, this is one of these games, and I can't remember the last time a finals game came down to like the fourth quarter. Like personally, like a closeout fourth quarter game where like it felt like the home team could win, but it also felt like the away team just wanted to leave it all out there and they could win and just go home with the championship instead of going home and playing another game. Um, in this fourth, Vic had a great dunk that hyped the crowd up. That was the first time I heard like the crowd really pop after this Knicks sort of run they went on. Vic sort of silenced that for a little bit. Um, and then we get into some more bad habits. And I said this in the OKC series as well, where Vic has like these one-handed attempts near the basket, right? Because he's so tall. He's like 7'7" or 7'8" or whatever the hell he is. And he's like these one-hand attempts, right? And I get the justification for it because he is taller than everybody else. His wingspan is longer than everybody else's on the floor. But I need to see Vic go up with two hands from now on. There were so many moments in this series and in this game where like he just tried to do it with one hand, didn't go in. Two hands in the basket. That's it. Goes in every time. And Vic left some points on the board, and um, I think that's something mechanically that and like mentally he can work on and be like, okay, no more one hands, two hands. It's always going in. Um, and it just bugged me that like he would sometimes he can play around with it like around the glass and he's just tipping it with one hand. That's cool. But like trying to go for like these one hand lobs that like his teammates are throwing him, like these one hand like crashing the glass rebounds. Stop. Just both hands, please. Both hands. That's it. Both hands. Um, in some of these moments for the Spurs, you have the Victor Wembanyama dunk. You have him playing around with his food too much and missing easy shots. Dylan Harper had a crazy circus move around Karl Anthony Towns that made me go, whoa. I feel like in this series, it was Jalen Brunson, Dylan Harper, OG Anunoby, and Victor Wembanyama that got the most woes. Like, woes out of me. Because, like, all four of those guys were absolutely incredible this whole series. Um, Especially Dylan Harper as a rookie. I'm just going to keep saying it. Um, Again, as we get deeper into this game and as the game sort of drags on and the Spurs start to feel a little worried and like they tense up, Vic started suddenly settling for these jumpers and they I feel like this whole series Vic hasn't been able he's maybe hit like three out of his mid-range jumpers that he's taken. They just feel off. They felt off this whole series and even like what was it last game um, Mitch Johnson drew up a mid-range shot for Wemby to win the game. It's like he hasn't been hitting those all series. Like, why did he do that? It just wasn't a great series for Wemby shooting jumpers, and the Spurs knew that. And once they started to force him into these jumpers late in games, time after time again, and in this game, it became very easy for the Spurs to get beaten because Vic obviously didn't want to go down in the paint and do what he normally does. He wanted to settle for the jumpers, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. The Spurs' field goal percentage was down every quarter. They flashed that graphic up on screen, and that made me almost certain that they were going to lose this game because it was like they shot 70%, not 70, like hypothetically, they shot like 70% in the first quarter, 60, 50, and then like it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and it felt really demoralizing. But yeah, that's when I saw that graphic, I was like, either the Spurs are gonna like kick this habit, right? Or or the Knicks are gonna come back and the Spurs are gonna have to win this on like a game clinching block or shot where the percentages just don't matter, and the game's just won that way. Um, Neither of those things happened, and the numbers didn't lie. And this is the moments where the closing moments, and I have a bunch of notes for these closing moments, but um, we're gonna talk about De'Aaron Fox again. He was out of the game for a little bit. It was Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, or Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant, or some variation of their lineup, their main lineup without De'Aaron Fox. We'll put it that way. And then Fox checks back in as the Knicks are like deep in this game. Either they're leading by one or they're only down by one. And like I said, Coach Mitch Johnson just keeps pushing Fox out there and just hoping like he can catch fire or something. And my note here is Fox. Why is he in the game? I just didn't understand the logic behind Fox being in this game at all. Like I understand he's your vet player, right? Like he's the oldest player that plays the most. We'll put it that way. Um, if and I understand Miss Johnson is a young coach and he doesn't want to like ruffle any feathers. If I was Miss Johnson, I'd tell Fox just sit your ass on the bench. Don't worry about this game. It's over. It's over for you. Not in these particular words, but like just sit on the bench. It's, Harper's in, Stephon's in. Leave it. You're gonna sit on the bench because he did this team no favors whatsoever. There was, I don't nitpick on this channel. I try to tell you what I saw. I try to give you my opinions. I try not to nitpick too much. But man, this really bugged me because this is a closeout game. This is win or go home for the Spurs, and I felt like maybe this game wasn't taken as seriously as it maybe should have. But Devin Vassell just smiling after a turnover, just like he and like a turnover like it's a game in October, like it's one of the first games of this. He's like, "Oh, my bad, guys, that fell out of bounds." He was smiling and like keying over there, and I said, come on, dude, this is you're gonna go home." This is like the fourth quarter, and you're turning over the ball, and you're just smiling at your guys, like, "Sorry," like he, like, dude, lock the fuck in, like, come on, what are we doing? And that really irked me because it's like this other team over here, like is full of guys that are just like straight faced, like rip your heart out, and they're like stressing over every single bucket and every single turnover because they know. And we have a bunch of young guys over there just smiling, key, and doing all this stuff, and it actually did rub me the wrong way. um, as we get into the final moments here, my final note after that moment, and after this is when those feelings, when you're watching a closeout game of the season and the finals or whatever it's called, in your sport that you watch, or like it starts to feel real, right? And you start feeling the other teams, the losing team starting to like fade away, and you start feeling the emotions of the team that's winning and how close they are from minutes away from winning. And the Spurs lost this game, and they were cooked. With almost 3 minutes left, they were cooked. It was over. The coach ran out of tricks, and the players just ran out of that energy that they had all season, and the energy they had when they beat Oklahoma, the reigning champs, um, wasn't good. And the Spurs remained shook throughout these minutes. 3 minute mark, 2:30 mark. Um, Vic goes to the line. Victor Wembanyama goes to the line, misses some more free throws. Not ideal. And in this moment, after Vic misses the free throws, the Spurs just were running out of opportunities. And Jalen Brunson, who we've not talked about this whole game, but played extremely well this game, and he really wanted to win this, and he emptied the clip. He just emptied everything he had out there to win this game, to just go home and be done with basketball for a couple months. He went absolutely insane. Um, Dylan Harper was the only other guard on this Spurs team that was matching Jalen Brunson, which is crazy to say. Although in these moments, in these closing minutes, Dylan Harper missed a huge layup. It was a good push in the open floor, so the Knicks couldn't get their defense set. but he just didn't put it up on the glass high enough, and it sort of fell around the rim and then fell into the Knicks' hands once again. And now we get to the closing seconds where Mitch Johnson um, finally takes De'Aaron Fox out, um, but it was for nothing because Mitchell Robinson gets a huge rebound over Wemby off a missed OG or Jalen Brunson free throw, gets it, kicks it back out. Um, Stephon Castle answers on the other side of the floor with a bucket, his first bucket of the game on a putback with 20 seconds left. Um, and then we start getting into full on Knicks are going to win this. Spurs are done. The Knicks inbound the ball well. Bridges misses one free throw attempt in a 3-point game. Overtime or Knicks championship at this point, and the Knicks were only up by 3 at this point, or 4. Pardon me, they were only up by 4 at this point, and then the Spurs draw their little timeout play, and the Knicks say no, and the Knicks do the very smart thing, which is what I would do in all these situations of like a 3-point, 4-point game, where if the other team has the ball, I'm fouling them and just sending them to the line and have them try to make 2 free throws. And that's exactly what they did. The Knicks did not let the Spurs get off a 3-point shot at all to make the game even closer. It was very smart. And then all the tricks and everything for the Spurs were done. And the Knicks won this game 94 to the San Antonio Spurs 90. And for the first time in 50 plus years, the Knicks are champions once again. And this was a crazy game. And again, I can't remember the last time a team won a championship in the final quarter. Maybe I've said this before, but maybe that Bucks Suns series. I refer to that one a lot. Maybe the Nuggets versus the Heat, but that was like a wash. The Nuggets were so much better. The Warriors in 2021, 2022. Yeah, because Steph had that really crazy closeout game. But that was in the first half. Steph was doing crazy stuff in the first half. I can't quite remember. So, but yeah, great game. Now we get to the portion of the video, and I've made some good time here, where we're going to talk about the implications of some of these players winning the championship. Obviously, we're going to talk about what's next for the Spurs. Let's start with the Knicks, because they are the champions now. A crazy feeling, something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. The Knicks finally have their moment after years and years of pain and suffering. Even James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, said, "Sorry it took so long," which was a good apology. Yeah, let's start with Mike Brown here. Or no, let's start actually with the Finals MVP, Jalen Brunson. I didn't think it would be Jalen. I thought maybe it'd be OG, but the way Jalen emptied the clip, 45 points in a closeout game, the only Knick to do that. 14 for 27 from field goal, 4 of 7 from 3, 13 of 15 from free throw, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, only 1 foul. Played 41 minutes, the most minutes out of anybody on this Knicks team. The Finals MVP, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and the NBA Finals MVP for this series, this Finals run. Yeah. No, yeah, this is just the Finals run, not the actual Finals. But in this Finals run as a whole, from the first round up until this last game, Jalen Brunson averaged 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 46% from field goal. That was 6 assists, actually. My bad. The only other player to do that recently was Steph Curry when the Warriors won in 2021 and 2022. Crazy, right? Man, Jalen Brunson. I've never been a Jalen Brunson fan. I always thought he was a nice player. I really liked him when he was next to Luca, and then when he left, I was like, I don't know if he's gonna be able to duplicate what he did with Luca as the main guy. And he did it in spades, and he did it very well, and he did it with, say, grace and humility, but he did it with just stoic leadership, and he's one of those guys where like he leads by, doing. I understand there were some moments here where like he rallied the guys, and even this run and some other runs, he rallied the guys. He tried to get them going, but Jalen just being himself and being the kind of guy that he is. He's been a champion before at the college level. He knows what it's like to win. He knows what it's like to be in these big moments. He's failed at times being the guy in New York. And now, through all of that, they've won. And for Jalen to, in this final game, for him to put the team on his back is one more check on the box to be like, yeah, he's the Finals MVP and an NBA champion now. I was telling my friend, I was like, OG's probably going to win this Finals MVP if Jalen Brunson doesn't have a crazy game five. And then Jalen Brunson had a crazy game five. So, yeah, he won. Um, I do want to talk about how we got here a little bit. Um, because, man, there have been some crazy Knicks players on these Knicks teams. And there's like this video floating around of like players that used to play for the Knicks and like what it took to get here. And I just want to shout out a few, shout out a few here that I found. Emmanuel Quickly, R.J. Barrett, Sweet Mikhailuk, Cam Reddish. Who remembers Cam Reddish? Nerlens Noel, Kemba Walker, obviously the draft pick, Kevin Knox, Bobby Portis, Alonzo Trier. Yo, if you know Alonzo Trier, shout out you, bro. Alonzo Trier was the truth. He was Jalen Brunson before Jalen Brunson. That's crazy. Um, there were just a bunch of weird players on these Knicks teams throughout these years. Jericho Sims is a more recent one. Um, let's see, Dante. Oh yeah, Dante's the main one that heavy. But Julius Randle, um, Shake Milton, Alec Burke, Bogdan Bogdanovich, Evan Fournier. Um, yeah, yeah. If I'm if I'm the Knicks, I write the Minnesota Timberwolves a very nice letter and I send them flowers because without the trade for Karl Anthony Towns, this championship doesn't happen. You had to sacrifice Dante DiVincenzo. You had to sacrifice Julius Randle, who was a big part of this revitalization of the Knicks post Carmelo Anthony, post Kristaps Porzingis. Um, you had to sacrifice those guys to get the team that you have now. And I would definitely write the Timberwolves a nice letter because without the Timberwolves wanting Dante and wanting Julius, you don't get Karl. And without Karl, none of this happens. And I'm a very big proponent of you just got to swing for it. You as a GM, as somebody who runs a team, you got to swing for the fences sometimes. And sometimes these things work out and sometimes they don't. And the Karl thing probably shouldn't have worked, but it did. Because Karl was in such a place in his life where even at the time that he did get traded, people were like, he can't be best player on a championship team. And every player wants to be the best player on a championship team, but it takes the mindset to digest that and say, you know what, actually, I can't be. But I want to be a part of a championship team. And that's what Karl was managed to do. Um, him and Jalen Brunson go down in history as one of the best Knicks duos of all time. Going back to Jalen, I said this before and I'll say it again. Jalen Brunson is the best modern Knick. I want to give Patrick Ewing his flowers, top right with Jalen Brunson there, because Patrick had some really rough times with the Knicks, and it wasn't his fault that they didn't win. They just didn't put the team around him. Um, Jalen Brunson is the best modern Knick, and I hate to say that to Carmelo Anthony fans. I hate to break that news to them, but Jalen Brunson is the best Knick of the last, what would you say, like 20 years? Yeah, like 20 years since 2000? Yeah, for sure. And yeah, let's move on to some other stuff. Oh yeah, man. Remember Derrick Rose was a New York Knick? Shout out Derrick Rose. Um, as a New York Knick, that's crazy. Let's talk about Mike Brown here, because Mike Brown was a big part of this, and I talked about him a lot in my last video, so I won't talk about him too much here. But this team didn't need an X's and O's coach. They really didn't. They had that with Tom Thibodeau. He probably isn't the best X's and O's coach either, but they had that with Tom Thibodeau, and they just needed a personable guy. They needed a guy that would uplift everybody on the team, that the team could love, and all those things happen. The team loves him. Um, he's great to play for. He's had a lot of stops throughout his NBA career. He coached the Lakers. He coached the Cavs. He coached the Kings. He was an interim head coach and assistant coach with the Warriors for a very long time, and learned a lot there. And I'm very happy for Mike. I really am. I'm very happy for him. He's a hell of a guy. I was very upset when the Warriors let him walk, but I understood that, as a coach, you don't want to be an assistant coach your whole life. You want to be a head coach, and maybe one day you'll be lucky enough to be a championship head coach. And here he is, finally, a championship head coach with one of the most historical um, franchises ever. And yeah, who remembers? I just popped in my head. Who remembers when James Dolan, the Knicks owner, said, "We're not going to hang the NBA Cup championship banner because we want to win an NBA championship." Who remembers that? Because I didn't. And then I saw it online and I was like, oh my God, that's right. They did say that. And now they actually did it. So yeah, they're one of, I guess, what did they're one of, are they the only team, or they might be the second team to win an NBA Cup championship and an NBA championship in one year, or in the same season? I feel like OKC did it, but I don't remember. Um, but now they get to hang a real championship um, as well. And yeah, I'm just scrolling through my notes here, trying to think of things to talk about here. Oh, let's talk about Mitchell Robinson, bottom left of your screen. It played with a healing hand that he broke. Wasn't that effective, but I mean, he was out there, and I give him credit for playing, and now he's a champion. Bottom right of your screen, Jordan Clarkson, the first guy from the Philippines to win an NBA championship. So congrats to him, and putting in more historical value, not just to New York, but to his country. That's really cool. I really like that for him. And yeah, what else is there to say, man, about the Knicks? New York went crazy. I mean, it really did. If you've seen the videos online, they went crazy. Rightfully so. Um, Everybody in unison, all the boroughs in unison. It was really cool to see. And mm, let's uh, let's think about this. Let's think about some other players here. OG Anunoby, now a two-time champ. Two-time, one with the Raptors. Didn't play in that series, but now finally made the biggest impact of his career on this Knicks team. An NBA champion. He's definitely getting his jersey retired. What? So we think it's Carl, Jalen, OG, and yeah, those are the three that get their jersey retired. That sounds right to me. Um, and thinking about some other implications for this, where does this put um, Jalen Brunson all time? I mean, let's see here. Let me find a list. I pulled up a list here. Just randomly pulled up a list. So, does this put Jalen Brunson in the Magic Stephen Curry universe, stratosphere? Because this is the first one for New York. Championships are way differently. I'm looking at some other names here, like not just play style, but just like the impact of this ring. Obviously better than Chris Paul. Obviously better than Steve Nash, Isaiah Thomas, Jason Kidd, um, Russell Westbrook. Is he better than Russell Westbrook? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe Russ fans don't want to hear that, but I mean, Jalen Brunson did the hardest task of all time, and Russ did a lot of hard stuff too. Averaging a triple double multiple times. Carrying teams, but Jalen did. He got it done. Um, is Jalen Brunson better than Kyrie? Uh, maybe, maybe. Let's see. Is he better than Derrick Rose? Yeah, he's better than Derrick Rose. I feel like perhaps by the end of their careers, Brunson and Shea could definitely be in the Magic Steph universe. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. And then at the end of this top 100 list, you have like Rajon Rondo, Kyle Lowry, um, Drew Holiday. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's up there. If I had to place him just off this list that I'm reading, if I had to place, I put Jalen Brunson in. Yeah, yeah, in the top 10, maybe 10 best point guards of all time. I think that's right. I think that fits about right. I think that really does. Probably could get him closer to like 6 or 7, 6, 7. But definitely in the top 10 for sure now. Definitely in the top 10. Before we move off of the Knicks, I just want to pull up. Maybe I can find some stats or something here that I've saved for this video. Oh, the post game like ads that they ran, like Nike and the New York Knicks, I guess, ran after they won the championship. Amazing. Those ads are really good. The billboards up in New York are really cool. Um, they have the thing in Times Square. The whole thing is just Knicks NBA champions. Um, really cool stuff. I really do like that when the city just shows up, and obviously New York showed up this whole time. Um, the other thing that intriguing is Carmelo Anthony, man. Carmelo with a C. Carmelo Anthony. His history is getting erased. Nikola Jokic in Denver took his number, won a championship there. James Harden took his all-time scoring top 10 nod. Jalen Brunson took his city in New York. It's not a great time to be a Carmelo Anthony fan for on the court and off the court reasons. If you know, you know. Um, Shout out all the longtime fans in New York. Obviously, like Spike Lee, all the people that have been courtside for many years now. Truly insane to be a fan that long and wait that long. I bet it feels so rewarding. I know it's like when my team's won championships and it feels really good, but I can't imagine. Let's start now, right? And then I have to wait 40 more years. So I'd be like, what would I be? I'd be like, oh God, I'd be close to, I'd be over 50. Jeez, yeah, no, I'd be crazy to wait that long. Um, as we wrap up the video here, let's talk about the other side of this NBA championship because there are winners and there are losers. The Spurs, a very young team. Um, I'll say this: I think this Spurs team lost the plot. They lost the plot. I want to say they gave up, but like mentally after that last game of the heroic Knicks comeback, they were definitely spent mentally, physically, um, and to be quite fair, because I like Vic. I don't want to say I protected Vic this whole time, but I've thought Vic could have done more. He has done more at times, but I feel like he was outmatched. He sort of turned into a villain in this series, and I'll be eager to see what he turns into next year if he's going to take this villain role and run with it. Um, but overall, the Spurs team played horribly. And that's just the goddamn truth. In this closeout game, 19 points for Vic, 14 rebounds, 14 points Julian Champagny, 7 points De'Aaron Fox, 12 Devin Vassell, 6 Stephon Castle, 7 Keldon Johnson. Dylan Harper was your leading scorer with 25 as a rookie in a closeout game, which is not great. Um, and then the Knicks was this one, two, three, four people in double digits and one player with over 30 points when you had nobody over 30 points. Um, yeah. The baseline, De'Aaron Fox. If I'm, let's like we do with every team that lost in these playoffs. Let's talk about what's next for the Spurs. If I'm the Spurs, De'Aaron Fox cannot be on this team. I cannot see how his teammates can trust him after this diabolical series. It's one of those series where like this is never gonna leave your career. You're known as somebody who just messed up in the finals, and you're bad, and people are gonna start questioning, can he be one of the best players in a finals on a finals team? And the answer right now is no. Um, so Darren Fox can't be on this team. Keldon Johnson can't be on this team either. I know Keldon Johnson was a big part of your rebuild when you first started this many years ago. Um, he can't be on this team. Six man of the year playing like that. Nope, he can't be on this team. And that leaves the door open for you to, keep a guy, keep guys like Dylan Harper, obviously promote him to the starting role. You have Stefan, Dylan, Devin Vassell, Victor Wembanyama. That's a great core right there. And I said this when I thought they were about to lose to OKC last round in the Western Conference Finals. The Spurs need to go big fish hunting. The rebuild's over. That cute, like, oh, with a nice young team, that's over. It's over. You are a real NBA team now. You have real consequences to losing. There are expectations now. You need to go big fish hunting, and I think they should try to go get um, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that's the answer. If I'm the Spurs, I call up the Bucks at before the draft, after the draft, whatever they want, and we start breaking down this deal, and I start offering everything except the people I mentioned: Wembanyama, Vassell, Stefan, and Harper. And you can have anything else. You can have anything else with any amount of picks. Just give us Giannis, because Giannis would solve so many problems for this team. Giannis and Victor would probably be the best players they've played with, respectively. Obviously, Victor, the best power forward could play with is Giannis, and Giannis, the best center he could have played with is Victor Wembanyama at this point. And I think that'd be a great duo. Are there any other answers? I think just get better. Like really, you have to really consolidate some of your assets and really go for it. I'm not saying empty it completely unless it's for a guy like Giannis, but you got to do something, man. Because this team was cool in the regular season. It was cool in the postseason until you got to the Western Conference Finals, and then you're wasting roster spots. No offense on like Kelly Olynyk, Bismack Biyombo, Mason Plumlee, Jordan McLaughlin. Like you need guys who can actually play. Because in these clinching moments, the Knicks had to dig deeper in their bench. They had to do it in Game 5. Game 4. They did it in Game 5, and I want to say it won them the game. But when Karl Anthony Towns fouled out of this game, of this closing game, not fouled out, but was in foul trouble with 5 fouls. Mitchell Robbins came in the game and he won the Knicks the game by getting like a rebound and kicking it out. And you know, it's just these little things. And speaking of little things, it's the little things that Mitch Johnson missed on adjustment wise and like play style wise that Mike Brown didn't. And there are people saying they should fire Mitch Johnson, the Spurs head coach. I think that's a little premature. Um, this was this is not what you want to hear if you're a Spurs fan. This was a great learning experience. It really was. You're a young team. Throughout NBA history, the numbers show that you'll be back at some point. There's the one outlier that's very glaring, that like that Oklahoma team with Russ, Katie, and James Harden that never went back to the finals again because they broke up. But the history says you'll be back, and the Spurs are a well-run organization not to mess it up, and keep this core together and keep everybody at such a level of getting better. And my voice is straining a little bit, so I will wrap it up here. But yeah, what a finals. I am in my next video when the season wrap up. I am going to talk about where this finals ranks amongst the last finals of this decade. The last, I guess, 6 now. Um, this is up there, man. This was a really entertaining series, and I'm not sure it would have been as entertaining if it was OKC. I'm not sure which way it would have gone either. I'm not sure if the Knicks could have been OKC or the OKC could have been the Knicks even, because the Knicks feel invincible at this point. But um, yeah, very fun finals. And I can't believe we're here. We made it, guys. we made it. We made it through another NBA season. It's crazy, and this is the 350th video on this channel. Very fitting. Um, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for tagging along through this season. I hope to see y'all next NBA season as well. Obviously, this is not the last NBA video, but this is the last one where we talk about games. So thank you guys so much for just being here and listening to me talk about basketball. It's been fun this year. It's really been fun. This is the most fun I've had doing this in the past 2 years. So I guess the second year is always the best year, but this is the most fun I've had this year covering this season. There've been some ups and downs and everything, but um, again, we have a new champion, and it feels good to be done. It feels good to put a stamp on this season and start thinking about next season and the draft, of course, and we'll wrap it all up next video. But thank you guys so much. The end screen should be playing right now. Check out the video on the left. It should be their NBA Cup championship, the Knicks. You can rewatch that. Check out the playlist on the right. It's the NBA draft video or NBA draft profiles that I did on the left. And if you click my icon right in the middle, a little subscribe will pop up and you can subscribe with ease. Like and comment as well. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.